So with many changes across the board in Heresy, one change that I feel like no one is talking about is that Prismatic got a massive buff on the Titan subclass. While yes, the main juice, which was Consecration, took a nerf, I still think that's viable. This build is highlighting that everyone is ignoring the fact that Bolt Charge is now a thing with Prismatic. Now those of you who click on Titan Prismatic builds and ask, is this another Consecration build? It's not. So you better comment and celebrate, because a lot of you guys love saying, oh, it's just another Consecration build, when I be throwing up a Consecration build. So yeah, jokes aside, I love this build just as much as a Consecration build, so I am very excited to talk about this one. Now before we do, just want to say, if you guys enjoy the video and want more content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified on when I drop more content. With that out the way, let's talk about this build. So Prismatic for Titan is a very interesting subclass. It's been solid for a while, but with a ton of use for Strand, Arc, and Void subclasses this episode, it feels like we have forgotten about Prismatic as a whole. So let's do some groundskeeping before we jump into the build. The main energy types we are focusing on here are going to be Arc, Strand, and a little bit of Stasis. Arc will have the most prominent presence here. You will see with the Loadout and Super of Choice. Reason why? Well, Bolt Charge has been integrated with Prismatic, meaning you get that deadly strike of lightning in many different ways, including pairing that with Stasis Shatters. More on that pretty soon. Strand, well, we're going to be severing and causing blinding using something like Facet of Solitude, and pairing that with an artifact mod like Photonic Flare is a wild combo. Basically, it gives Prismatic the benefits of Spark of Beacons, which is only available on the Arc class, and most importantly, you can use this with primary weapons. And with the Loadout, we could use the power of Scattered Signal, which is a Strand fusion rifle, which benefits from Particle Reconstruction, an Unstoppable Fusion mod. Also has Controlled Burst, one of the best DPS options out there. Or the Call, which is a rocket assisted frame sidearm, which has anti-barrier sidearm mod in the artifact, and is still one of the best frames in PvE despite the recent nerfs to the frame. Oh, and with Stasis, well, Diamond Lance is awesome. Tons of ways it serves a purpose, whether that's champions, ad control, or helping you build Transcendence. With Glacial Grenades, this works with Bolt Charge. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You can use that to freeze an enemy group around you and then have a bolt from the heavens destroy the Glacial Grenade and causing a shatter if you have built up max stacks of Bolt Charge. It's honestly more fun than slamming one with Consecration. Just a little bit. I don't know. I think this is a little bit more fun because you kind of throw it, but that's just my personal opinion. And a little bit more with some Stasis stuff. One of the main roles of our Stoicism will be Spirit of Hoarfrost. And this is another way you can freeze and shatter with Bolt Charge if enemies are around. Oh yeah, I should mention that we are using a Stoicism. This is an exotic Titan mark. I hope you guys at least ran Dual Destiny exotic mission once so you can farm these. We will highlight 2 different roles for that exotic when we get there. If you don't have one, you can use something else, but that won't be the main highlight here in this video. I will leave that information in the pinned comment alongside a dim link with the build. So with the groundskeeping out the way, let's jump into the game and talk about the build. So here on screen is the build, and of course a quick little drip check. Yeah, I really like this one. Leave your thoughts down below. So when it comes to our subclass, the main super choice will be Thunder Crash. This is a great DPS super as a whole, depending on the Stoicism. We'll talk about that, whether it's Star Eater. You can enhance this a little bit. Maybe if you don't have a Stoicism, you just use Curious of the Falling Star, get some juice there. Also, since this is Arc, we're going to be getting a lot of Bolt Charge from orbs with Facet of Purpose, but more on that when we get there. Abilities: Rally, Barricade, because it's just the best one, kind of. You could use Towering, either or. Just know that Towering has a little higher cooldown. High Lift, because we are High Lift Supremacy. That's it. You hate the jump, keep hating. When it comes to our melee, we are using Thunderclap. We aren't using Frenzy Blade because makes no sense. We want to get this back as soon as possible. We're not really building to Consecration, so it doesn't make sense to kind of have 3 extra charges of Frenzy Blade with this high base cooldown. The grenade of choice will be Glacial Grenade. We talked about this a little bit before. This does pair with Bolt Charge, which is pretty awesome. In the case of Transcendence, this will be really big to helping you build up the darkness energy. Aspects: Knockout. It improves your melee range and damage, helps you become Amplify, which we can't really do like that anymore due to the fact of some of the changes with Bolt Charge to the Orbs of Power. Amplified's still really good, but the main thing here is we're getting some of that bonus with our melee damage. Aspects, we mentioned this before too. Diamond Lance, really good here when you get ability, final blows, or with stasis weapons. Unfortunately, we don't use any stasis weapons here. We can freeze, and the shatter from the freeze will cause a unstoppable to be stunned. So this is really nice there, but this is again a really solid little aspect. Fragments, Facet of Solitude, we talked about this before. Landing rapid precision hits emits a severing blast from the target, and yeah, this is really good. Sever is really fun, especially with what we're going for with the artifact mod. It can basically allow us to blind targets around with our primary weapon. Facet of Purpose helps us regen some of that bolt charge faster. We are using a Rolling Storm weapon, so it is kind of an overkill, but again, the more bolt charge, the better here. The more we can emit, the better. It does suck we aren't using something like Storm's Keep, but this is a way of making up some of that ground with Facet of Purpose. Facet of Balance, rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy, which is really massive here. Rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage grants grenade energy, which is also pretty fun, but the main juice here will be our melee energy regen. Facet of Justice, just to add some explosions and plus 10 intellect to our stats while we are transcendent. This is a fun little one. Been giving this a spin a little bit more. Actually, I like it a lot. But if you guys want to change, just be my guest. And then since we do have some shattering going on, Facet of Ruin increases the size and damage of the burst when you shatter a stasis crystal or frozen target, which again, we're also doing with Diamond Lance. And then ignitions also have an increased area effect, but again, that's not really important to what we are using. Loadouts. For one, we are using Scatter Signal in here. Controlled Burst, Overflow, Unstoppable, Fusions, really good. Particle Reconstruction, really, really good here. Again, I don't have it in my slot right now. You could use the call, Anti-Barrier, really good stuff there. The Palindrome we are using has Explosive Payload and Rolling Storm. Rolling Storm is the main juice here. The reason why is because Final Blows grants Bolt Charge, and while you're amplified, you get additional Bolt Charge. It's going to really help with stacking that kind of spamminess of those lightning strikes, which is really fun. If you want to use something without Rolling Storm, that's fine. Maybe Indebted Kindness, you could focus on double secondaries. That's okay, but that's the main thing we are going for here. And then we are using Thunderlord in this case. The one thing I will say is Queen Breakers is another viable option. Anarchy, of course, if you need that for a specific dungeon encounter, is another viable option here. But yeah, we're just throwing on Thunderlord. These are overloads, really good basic, lazy DPS. It's really fun. When it comes to our armor mods, we have an Harmonic Siphon, Hands-On, and Dynamo, since we're using our class ability pretty damn often, helps with super regen. When it comes to our hands or our gauntlets, we have a Heavy-Handed, Font of Vigor to help us with our strength stats, and then we have Fastball because I just throw a little bit farther and I had a free slot. When it comes to our chest armor, we have 3 Harmonic Reserves. Why? I want plenty of shots of my Thunderlord. That's basically it. If you guys want to switch it to Stranded Reserves for a Scatter Signal, that's perfectly fine, but Harmonic Reserves, Arc here is what we're going for. For our gauntlets, we have a Recuperation, Invigoration, and Arc Weapon Surge. And for our Stoicism, we have Font of Restoration, 1-2 Finisher, and Distribution. Really important here real quick, we are, again, we mentioned this before, Spirit of Hoarfrost is going to be the main crutch. In this version, we're using Spirit of Contact. It's the jolting. It makes a little bit more sense when it comes to taking these into Grandmasters to deal with some of those anti-barriers if I don't want to trust my Thunderlord or I don't want to burn all my ammo. It's also really good for some of that ad control. However, using something like Spirit of Star Eater or Power Overcharge Super is going to be pretty big for enhancing your Thunder Crash. It did see a slight nerf for retuning and things like that. Unfortunately, I don't have a Spirit of Hoarfrost, Spirit of Star Eater combo, so I'm missing out on that end. It has Spirit of Severance, perfectly fine there, but yeah, Spirit of Star Eater is another great option to pair with Spirit of Hoarfrost. But again, that's just the exotic mentioning. Oh, the artifact, really important. I almost skipped this part for some reason. The main ones we're using here is Particle Reconstruction, obviously to enhance our linear fusions. A little bit of an ad lib. I almost missed the most important part of this artifact. This is actually pretty incredible. As you see here, Elemental Supercharger, defeating exhausted or severed targets with weapons that match your super element grants super energy. This is going to be huge in terms of elevating the regen of our super. You will be able to get multiple Thunder Crashes in an encounter potentially, depending on how much ads you have and how much orb generation you do and how accurate you are with landing precision hits. Yeah, Elemental Supercharger is incredible. Do not sleep on it. I can't believe I missed it, but again, I had to ad lib here and tell you guys, make sure this one is on. It is powerful. Flashover, when you gain maximum bolt charge, you also become amplified and lightning bolts deal more damage. This is incredible for enhancing those lightning bolt strikes. The electric, defeating arc debuff targets grants bonus bolt charge, and then pretty much we're going to be blinding, so we're doing that to an extent. And then rapidly defeating arc debuff target spawns orbs of power and heals a small portion of health. Again, with the primary weapon, we're really dishing out a lot of debuffs, blinding and severing and orbs of power. It's kind of comical. I really like it a lot. Overclock and load while you're amplified or have bolt charge. Arc weapons gain increased handling and reload speed. Again, this is really good to just enhancing Palindrome, which doesn't have the greatest reload speed, but again, nothing too crazy. Unraveling orbs when you pick up an orb of power or tangle grants strand weapon unraveling rounds. We are using strand weapons, and this will pair very nice with Horde Shuttle. Damaging unravel targets with a weapon occasionally spawns a threadling. This is kind of wild in terms of just like how much threadlings you could spawn, especially if you're using the call, which is rocket system frame. There's a lot going on here. And then of course, defeating an exhausted target or severed target with arc damage releases a blinding effect. Yeah, this is really, really good. It's also applied to champions, or specifically overload champions, which is pretty damn nice. And then I believe Disruption Spike improves the effects of Exhausted and Sever, lowering the target's damage output even further. Really good stuff there. This artifact is absolutely cooking, and in general, that's the build. That's how it pairs. It's wild. I really love what we got here. But besides that, let's jump out and wrap up this video. So that's the build. It's wild that as I keep messing around, I find funny, viable ways to play this game in all forms of content. Yes, this isn't a hazardous propulsion with Stormskeep aspect kind of build. Now, funny enough, we do have that build. We dropped it the second day of Heresy because it was pretty obvious what was going to happen before the season even started. Check it out if you are wondering what's so powerful about it. Annotation above. Only update is you don't have to use Grand Overture. Queensbreaker and Thunderlord are also incredible. Doesn't get the buff from Hazardous Propulsion, but it doesn't need one to be an incredible powerhouse. But back on the Prismatic build, it's awesome on not the same levels of powerhouse boss DPS that Hazardous Propulsion can offer. Many ways to handle business though with it, no matter the content, all while using the power of Bolt Charge. But yeah, in general, that is the build. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Leave your thoughts down below. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to drop this video a like. Helps out the video a ton. Friendly reminder, if you're at this point in the video, thank you guys for watching. A dim link is down in the pinned comment below if you guys want to pull this for yourself. Very easy to do. There will be different loadout options potentially in the dim link. Just make sure you check that out when you pull it. But before we go, just want to end off by saying if you guys enjoy the content, again, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified on when I drop more content. Thank you again for watching. With that being said, it's all I got on this one. ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.